Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. The spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but... All
right, folks. Welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brian with Rob and Ashley yet again after a fun but somewhat frustrating weekend in Chicago. Folks, how we doing this week?
Pretty good. I'm feeling all right. I had a very long fucking day today, so I'm excited to be sitting here in the booth with you guys, ready to order another appetizer sampler just for me, because that's how I'm medicating. How about you, True Love?
I feel a little queasy at the moment, so I might not eat this time around, but...
Well, you can watch me, so...
Just let those $1 margaritas settle your stomach.
Yeah, keep them coming, honey. I got a thing going with the staff here. Our server, Tanner, he's very understanding, so...
Okay, and you call him honey. That's good.
Yeah. It's 2024, man. It's all right.
Yeah. That's fair. So, as mentioned... fucking...
Brian just got attacked by Tanner, our server. Wow. So NASCAR was in Chicago. It just says Brian has gone away on the screen, and that's just so fucking funny because he sure has. But NASCAR was in Chicago this weekend. Of course, the return to the street course there. Very controversial place, but also a really exciting one. I very much enjoy.
Tanner and I just had a nice conversation. I am not allowed to call him pet names, apparently.
Yeah, so. You got to watch out for. You got to earn his respect like a street cat.
Oh man.
But so yeah, NASCAR was in Chicago. That was cool.
Yeah, I was just saying I really enjoy. I enjoy that track, to be someone who's not much of a road racing fan and certainly not in NASCAR, and someone who's bitched on this show a bunch of times about how I wish there were fewer road courses. This is probably my favorite one, to be honest with you. It's always a nice race.
I think it's proven that it's actually cool, and the racing this year was actually good.
Yeah, the racing is good. It's super exciting.
And in Cup, I mean, obviously we all saw Saturday and how good that race was, and geez, it's just that first stage with Larson and SVG going back and forth. Like, I could watch that all day. And we probably would have seen a good bit of it Sunday, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saturday was a great race. It was not a surprise at all to see SVG win.
Nope.
But he had a little bit of competition again with Larson at the beginning, and I'm trying to remember what happened towards the end. I know there were a few like iffy cautions and stuff, but I mean, still, nobody really had anything for him aside from Larson. And Larson, I don't know what happened to him in the last half of the race, but he was not. Unfortunately, he wasn't up there to battle with
he made it up to about 4th or 5th, I believe. But yeah, SVG was, even like when they were battling, you could tell that Van Gisbergen was just kind of toying with them a little bit.
And they were having fun. They were like waving at each other, and like they were very clearly enjoying their time racing. And you know,
when SVG finally got him, he waved at Larson goodbye, which I thought was really good.
I mean, you know,
I think he gave him a thumbs up, like, all right, I'm done fucking with you now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go sail off into the fucking sunset, which he did for a little while.
Yeah.
But what else happened in that race? That Joey Logano is filling in for Haley Deegan, or I shouldn't say filling in, just filling in the seat, because she is 100% gone from that team. As was announced
she's
on
done
Monday. A lot of speculation about what's going to happen to her next. You know, I'm sure she'll end up in a car or a truck somewhere. But you know, she's still 22. She's still inexperienced, and I don't want to be too harsh, you know, about her season, because I think she still needed some time in the lower series. But when you have money and you have people wanting to push you up, sometimes you got to take those spots, and they don't always work out. So
the ratio of who's on the sex offender list and who's commenting on this on Facebook, it's a 1-for-1 right now. Yeah, Incel America is very upset about this, but yeah, I'm sure Haley will find something to do. Again, she's got a lot of money behind her through Monster, or at least I presume she does. Though they're not really sponsoring her in Cup anymore, but she's enough of a known quantity in social media, and she can drive a car, so I'm sure she'll find something.
Yeah, for sure.
She'll be fine.
Are there any other major notes though from the Saturday race? I can't think of anything.
No, the only thing that I wrote down was in practice when Alon Day destroyed Allgaier.
Oh,
really
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
a terrorist
right,
attack on American soil. Yeah.
Which, that was one of the handful of things that got some engagement because somebody made a joke about an Israeli attack on an innocent victim yet again, and that got some attention from people, which we don't have to get into that as far as politics and all that are concerned, but I thought it was a funny joke, definitely funnier than some other stuff I saw this week.
Well, Tommy Joe Martins could probably apply for some federal funding now, so to get a new body put on that car, in Justin Allgaier's car. A lot of our tax dollars go into that whole thing, and this seems to fit in with that. But yeah, what an amateur hour fucking move.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you see in ARCA.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
But yeah, which I guess we'll talk about ARCA in a little bit because they they went full on. They sunk into their own stereotype this weekend at Irwindale, but that's for later.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Cup race because I really like Chicago. I enjoy the track. I thought the racing was pretty good when we got to see it.
The dry racing was fun.
Yeah. And
Well,
even the wet stuff I thought was cool. Like,
It was just the fact that they decided to go back when it was still raining, and then it ruined SVG's day, and it started the
Chase
SHR.
Briscoe taking his own line. That's for sure.
Yeah. Started the SHR
Controller got unplugged.
fucking, I don't even know what to say about their day, but I mean, everybody except for the guy who crashed 17 times last year wrecked in an SHR car this weekend. They should have just parked both Briscoe and Barry after.
Yeah,
after
they were
stage
just
2.
going tit for tat for who could wreck the most.
Well, they made their money off of selling the charters, so they don't really got to worry about hanging on to the equipment to sell at the end of the year, so they can fuck those cars up as much as they want, and boy, did they. So, yeah, Josh Berry looked like he'd never been behind the wheel before. That was entertaining.
Yeah.
Wood Brothers
Was he
were
in
like,
this race last year? I can't remember.
What's that?
Was he in this race last year? I can't remember.
Josh? I don't think so.
I can't. Well,
he might have been filling in for someone.
Because I mean, he, obviously Noah was still in the car, but I feel like maybe Alex was already out of the car by then. But I also can't.
Could have been.
So.
Well, presumably it went better because we don't remember, and we're definitely going to remember this year. So yeah, definitely a weekend in Chicago that Josh Berry's going to want to forget.
But I mean, as far as let's talk just about Chicago itself. I mean, once again, a really great race and a great weekend that was just hampered by rain. But I think we were all a little bit nervous. The new mayor coming in, we weren't sure about his support, but the new mayor was all about it this year.
Yeah,
like,
showed up in a fucking fire suit.
Yeah, and while they didn't announce next year they'll be back, it, for all intents and purposes, seems like they're coming back. I mean, other than the rain, nothing went bad this year, and they got to have their concerts, which I didn't see 2 seconds of any of that shit except for when they announced Bubba Wallace. Like, they were announcing all the...
Yeah, they had all the drivers come out, and the driver intros on Saturday night. That was kind of cool. And Bubba played the drums a little bit on the drum line.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah,
it's great.
Fucking A. Yeah, but you don't see that very often anywhere else. Usually they just roll the fucking trailer out there, and everyone just kind of waves at nothing and moves on. That's definitely not what Chicago is. They even had a protester. I guess somebody came to protest Alon Day destroying Justin Allgaier's car and chained themselves to the fence, and that didn't go very well for them. But at least they didn't glue themselves to the track like they do in Formula One. It actually did delay the race a little bit.
It did a couple laps, I guess.
Yeah. I guess my only real issue that I have with this race, is just how sort of by the seat of the pants that NASCAR, it felt like they were just kind of making it up as they went along. And they definitely took some lessons they learned from New Hampshire. They establish the clock thing, which I don't have a problem with. You know, if you're running up against darkness, that's a much smarter way to do it than just trying to figure out what lap they're going to call it, you know, which is what they've done at New Hampshire in the past when they ran up against darkness, and also like letting the teams do live pit stops, which is something they said they were going to do once they figured it out. So that was nice progress. But
the tires thing was great. We only lost like 10 to 15 laps, I feel like, with the rain. So it wasn't. I don't think it was as bad as last year. But
yeah, people are really making a big deal about a lot of that stuff. And honestly, like aside from the fact that NASCAR just did really kind of make up some rules on the spot, and if you're going to do races like this in places where you have to be done by a certain time because there's no fucking lights, then you should really have that hammered out before you get to the racetrack. And also maybe don't start the race at 5 p.m.
Well, the big point that was made with that was more of a TV deal than it was NASCAR or Chicago. So from what it sounds like is if they're let's just say they're going to bring this back next year. It sounds like this race will fall under the Amazon schedule, so hopefully they don't have to worry about that, and they can run the race at an earlier time. So
they also had a full 90-minute long Keith Urban concert before the race. It's like, do we need 90 minutes of Keith Urban?
Well, that's why the tickets are $200 or whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah, I don't think I need 90 minutes of that.
No.
The other Australian on the property.
Step above Tim Duggar, but still.
Yeah, definitely more expensive. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Is there a good Keith Urban song?
I couldn't tell you one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard one in 20 years.
No, me either. So there you go, folks. Not a Keith Urban fan podcast by any stretch of the imagination.
No. But back to the race itself. So, obviously the SVG stuff happened. That was a bummer. But after all the delays and all that, great race. Again, I enjoyed the fact they let the guys do what they wanted with the tires. I thought it was interesting strategy how it seemed like guys were putting on dries or slicks too early. But, you looked at, Haley, I think he kept wets on, was able to get back up to 15th. Then you saw Reddick. If he wasn't going to win, he would have been right up Bowman's ass at the very end until he hit the wall on that last turn. And that was a huge bummer.
He would have got him, I think. I don't think there's any question about that.
I think it would have been fun to watch at least.
For sure. And I'm personally, I like Alex Bowman. Unlike our friend Maurice, I don't have any personal reasons not to like him. So I had no issue seeing him win. I like him, and I'm glad he broke that streak. And obviously, if we're going to talk about Alex, we got to talk about the Bubba situation, because that was the other big thing on the internet that was incredibly annoying to
that was funny
deal with.
Yeah.
We all saw Bubba, make contact and show his displeasure after the race with Alex. And, Alex did his best to kind of dissipate the situation. He said it was warranted. Don't penalize Bubba.
Definitely was.
It was. And they have a history of Alex doing that to him in the past, too.
Yeah, I don't think they like each other very much. So.
They do have a history. And granted, Tuesday is usually the day they dole out penalties, and they haven't. So it doesn't seem like they're going to.
Yeah, I think a penalty would be warranted. I also think it wouldn't be the end of the world if they didn't do that. I know it's more a little inconsistent to me if they didn't do something, but also I'm not going to lose sleep if they didn't do it. I don't care either way. It's not like some of the other stuff that either of those guys have done before. So
yeah. Well, there's on Twitter, there's an account, Seth Eggert posted the stats of all the after the checkered flag door slamming incidents from people being
it's like
upset.
Every fucking weekend.
Yeah, and he went back, listed them since I don't know. He said the last time that anyone ever got any penalization for that was 2009. So it's like
that long, really?
Yeah. Suarez got one more recently, but that's only because it happened on pit road, which is a whole different animal.
That makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah. And Suarez also had his own little run-in with Chase Elliott.
I was gonna say, Chase and Suarez had their own incident after the race, but because it wasn't seen on TV like Bubba's was, it wasn't as publicized and talked about. Although Junior did talk about it today on his podcast, talked about both incidents, and he was, compared to Denny on his show. I mean, Denny obviously doesn't think he should get a penalty.
Yeah.
or Junior being a little more neutral in all this. I mean, he was totally fine with what happened. You know, he's like, oh, if you want to fine him $5-10 grand, fine, but it shouldn't be more than that. Shouldn't be points. Shouldn't be anything else.
I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, nobody got hurt. Nobody, you know, it wasn't that dangerous of a move. And yeah, again, because it was Bubba, of course he's going to get a lot more shit for that. And
yeah,
you know, it's frustrating, but it is what it is. And I'm sure by the time we're on the track,
I mean, all the fucking people who are complaining about Bubba needing a penalty and how dangerous it was, and you know, Bowman had his belts loose and his window net down. These are the same people who want more plate racing. So I don't want to hear about safety, motherfuckers, because that doesn't exist. So yeah, what do you want from these people? You know, yeah, Bubba was wrong that he showed his displeasure, and Alex actually wrecked himself before Bubba got to him on the cool down lap. So
yeah, that is also true. Yeah, he tried to pull an SVG and failed miserably.
Yeah, they're going to penalize anybody. It should be Alex Bowman for that.
Yeah, for endangering himself.
Exactly.
But yeah, we got a note here. I see about the NBC needing to update their graphics package for the alternate tires.
Oh yeah, it just looks like it says "sucks" instead of "slick."
It does.
Which I very much enjoy. Yeah, I think I described it to you guys as this just sounds like me after 10 beers.
Yep.
That tie gives sucks.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a good weekend, and yeah, again, other than the rain fucking things up a little bit on Sunday, I mean, I'm excited to see this race again next year, and I just wish it was cheaper because I know I'd be out there because you know, our friend Mike from First 7-Inch lives out there, and he's a NASCAR fan now. But even living in Chicago, he doesn't want to pay that much to go to that shit. So
yeah, it's a lot of money. It's definitely a lot.
Especially
of money.
when the cheapest tickets are general admission, you have to stand like 5 or 6 deep at the fence and not be able to see anything the whole time.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
And apparently hotels aren't all that expensive in comparison to normal weekends. I mean, it is, you know, a major fucking city. But Chicago's like the second or third largest city in the U.S., so there's plenty of space for people. But I don't know. I've never... that's not really my vibe at a racetrack, so I like to camp or whatever the fuck, you know. So it doesn't seem like something I'll ever want to actually go experience in person. You know, road racing in person is not the best experience anyway, I guess, you know. But I don't know, it's cool. I hope it comes back. It's great television, so.
Yeah, it's visually the most amazing race of the whole season. So.
Definitely one of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So yeah, what else do we have to talk about from the weekend?
Corey LaJoy wrecked again. That was cool.
Yeah,
twice. He wrecked
twice.
in qualifying.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And yelled at himself. Got a nice little video of that.
That was great. I flipped on qualifying just in time to hear him screaming "fuck" at himself, which was nice.
But after another well-performing weekend, he was rewarded with
one of the best crew chiefs in the garage.
Yeah, rewarded with Roddy Childers with that car next year, that team. So
where the fuck did these guys get their money, man?
It's gotta be money laundering.
It's great. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's if Corey doesn't succeed next year with Rodney, he won't. But you know, if he doesn't, if we don't see some results, I gotta imagine that's his last year in the car. It's his last shot. Has to be, because what the hell else is he bringing that team?
Yeah, I mean they're spending a shit ton of money on a lot of really talented people, and if you know Rodney Childers can, and not to besmirch Kevin Harvick here, he's also very talented, but the fact that Rodney could get wins out of SHR long past their expiration date and good performances, I think that says a lot about his skill. I don't think anyone questions how good Rodney Childers is as a crew chief. So yeah, Spire picking him up over anybody else in the garage, that indicates that a lot of money was spent to me, and yeah, it's definitely put up or shut up time. Especially with a guy like, Michael McDowell over there who can win races, pretty much anywhere now, it seems like, which is crazy to say. And then Carson Hocevar is showing flashes of being a good driver in between some of the other ARCA stuff. So, yeah, definitely.
Better than his veteran roommate, or not roommate, teammate.
Yeah.
So that just made me realize when you mentioned McDowell, so I guess we're still trying to figure out what happens with Zane Smith and SVG next year, because nobody's talked about that yet. Zane actually once again had a fairly decent day, so he's turning into a cup driver.
He's a cup driver all of a sudden. Finishes second once and realizes it's a lot easier to do it from the front. So yeah, he was sniffing the top 10 for a good part of the day, and even higher than that for a little bit, I think. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, can't shit on him too much. So
no,
it is what it is.
Not this week.
No. What else happened? Ricky Stenhouse had a child.
He did? Yeah.
That was, what the hell is the kid's name again?
Stetson Steele Stenhouse.
That is the most difficult shit you could ever have to say.
The SS Stenhouse, born on July 4th, 1776.
Still better initials than Casey Kane, though. I only just recently learned Casey's full initials, and boy, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It was, being a fangirl of his many years ago, it's not initials. You could go around writing in hearts.
No. Maybe some other shapes, but not that one. Yeah. Yeah, good for Ricky, birthing his son.
Just like Cuckoo.
Just like Cuckoo. Which, by the way, I punched that into the first AI site I could find, and the results were absolutely terrifying. I'm sure we'll share one or two of them with you this week.
Yes, they were.
Too many fingers.
Hot on the heels.
And forearms.
I guess while we're mentioning Alex breaking his winless streak, two other winless streaks were broken this weekend. Lewis Hamilton. We rarely talk about F1, but I'll mention it here because I don't mind Lewis Hamilton, and it's good to see him win. He got a win in the Great Britain Grand Prix, I guess, and it was real emotional after that. I guess it was he's the first F1 driver to win after his 300th start, which is a pretty crazy stat coming from NASCAR fandom. But still cool. I mean, again, I didn't watch any of the race, but
not quite Michael Waltrip levels, but it's definitely on any metric. But
but yeah, also Pato O'Ward won at Mid Ohio, which
that's right.
It was too hot for me to go down and want to sit and deal with that all day. But they also debuted their hybrid engine, which I don't know how well it did in the race, but the little bit of research I did about how the hybrid system worked seemed pretty interesting.
It worked for everybody but Scott Dixon. He was the only one that had any problems with it.
Well, I got nothing to say about that, but I just thought it was interesting. I guess, while we're talking about hybrid stuff and electric cars, NASCAR also debuted their full EV concept car, which the car itself aesthetically was pretty gross looking, but it was also
it's like a fucking Ford Focus with a wing on it.
Yeah, it was like an amalgamation of different manufacturers' cars, so the car is not going to look like that. And of course, people are going to be pissy about that, and people think, oh, EVs are going to replace gas engines, and that's not going to happen. Like if and when that series ever comes to fruition, it's going to be like the 4th tier series. Apparently Dana White has some involvement in it, which don't get me started on that. But
well, there's also a lot of talk about NASCAR perhaps buying into what is it called? Rallycross, and that could be a good place for that to happen, because that's definitely a place where that sort of thing would fit a little bit more comfortably than it would in the stock car space. Whose cat is that?
Oh, that's Dale.
I don't have a cat.
He's hanging out.
They let animals into this Applebee's. It's great.
Well, last week I could hear Jay's cat, Eleanor, purring.
I knew that was Eleanor, yeah. I'd know that purr anywhere. Jay has the best cat. If you ever sleep on his couch, you'll definitely wake up to Eleanor standing on your chest and staring at you from 2 inches away.
Hey, I got cool cats too, man. Watch that. Oh, I'm sure Jay has a lovely cat. So
it's a very good cat. Let's get them all together in a room.
When I lived in Pittsburgh, I'll say this: I dated a girl briefly who insisted I bring my cats over to hang out with her cats, and that was a complete waste of time. Folks, don't do that. Cats are not dogs; they don't socialize well.
Yeah, so. Bring them to Applebee's, but don't bring them to a new date's house.
Yeah. didn't go well. But anyways, back to racing talk. More good news this weekend. John Force was moved. He's on
to
his
the
way
ice cream
back.
parlor.
That's right.
He's out of intensive care. He's still getting treatment, obviously, but he's out of the hospital in Richmond and heading back home. So
He found the soft serve machine in the cafeteria, for sure.
he still looks great. Still looks like himself. You know,
Yeah.
obviously, he's still dealing with some cognitive issues and things like that. But that happens with head injuries like
Yep.
his. So hopefully continues to improve. And you know, I have a feeling, I don't know if he'll race again this year or ever again, but I'm sure he'll be back at the track before the end of the year. It seems like it. So
Yeah, which great news. Great fucking news. I think everybody listening to this is going to raise their beer for that one. So
for sure. But now, Rob, let's talk about ARCA.
Oh, yeah, this is great. Yeah, the quality of ARCA has been pretty much on the basement floor for a long time. Just a bunch of rich kids wrecking Toyotas. The Venturinis cashing any checks they can get. And their latest contributor is, what's his name? Sean Hingorani? I don't even know.
Yeah, he apparently is a real dickhead. Nobody likes him. He's a rich kid with a lot of money who drives like an asshole. He wrecked his own teammate at ARCA.
He wrecked Dean Thompson. And Dean Thompson's kind of a dick, too. So, man, the flowchart here is unbelievable. And so I didn't watch this race. I just started getting the highlight reel of the Victory Lane interview, or the lack thereof, sent to me. Apparently, there was a dispute over the restart. They threw the green, and instead of it being a green-white checker, it was just a green into checker, in which Hingorani completely jumped the start. Apparently, again, I didn't see this. This is just me reading it and finding out through highlights. And, of course, he wins the race, and there was a little bit of a review going on before they were going to announce who the actual winner was, because they were going to determine whether or not that restart was legal. It ended up being the case that Sean got the win, but as this was being decided, the announcer, who also happens to be the track promoter, by the way, he runs Irwindale Speedway. Excuse me. This Zen is really getting me right now. There we go. Apparently, and I just love this story so much that my body can't handle it. But apparently, as he was saying, hang on a sec, we're going to review the start, somebody from the Venturini team, or Hingorani's team, tried to grab the mic out of his hand. And that turned into a whole thing. And then once the win is made clear to everybody, Sean starts climbing the fence and celebrating like he just won an Indy. And and I guess that's when the mic got grabbed, and he's, the track promoter, whose name is escaping me right now. He's like, yeah, there he goes. He won the race. Hey, fuck you, buddy. And that was apparently when the mic got grabbed out of his hand and his pack got turned off for a little bit. And then Sean didn't get his interview. He went over to interview second place, which was Jack Wood.
Yeah, the quote from the announcer was like, there he is celebrating. Like, he's having a good enough time. We don't need to hear from him.
Yeah, they're all so disrespectful. We don't need to hear from them. But yeah, just if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably seen the highlights. I can't imagine much else happened in that race. Irwindale's a cool fucking track, but I don't know, it takes a lot for me to tune in ARCA. And that was not something I was going to watch, especially with so much of the short track racing happening. But congrats to that track promoter. Should probably look his name up. Thanks for keeping Irwindale open. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That was great, though.
What else we have to talk about here?
Well, we're kind of moving into the Darf of the Week segment here,
Yes.
and it's not just Darfs this week. It's just dumbasses all around. There was a lot of dumbassery that happened on and adjacent to racetracks across the United States. We're going to start off with the track worker.
Even more violent track worker incident than that one a couple weeks ago where the truck ran into some midget or something.
It was Bobby Timmons in his super modified up north here. Truck, of course, came down and creamed him. That went viral. This looks way worse. This is up in Maine, still in the Northeast, so I don't know what kind of weed they've got going on up there. I know it's pretty strong, and it seems like that may have been a contributing factor.
Fentanyl.
It's just fentanyl. So Speedway 95 in Maine, it looks like there's some street stocks out on the track doing hot laps or practice or whatever the fuck. Who knows? It could be a feature. Who knows? Street stocks. And the track worker just barrels down on the racetrack on a four-wheeler and gets completely creamed by this poor girl. I forget her name. as well. There's a theme developing here on this show. I didn't really research a lot of these people, but this guy gets flung like 25 feet off the four-wheeler. The only reason I'm laughing is because he survived. He
came his leg real bad.
Came out with a broken leg, which that's definitely what you get for driving a four-wheeler out into a hot racetrack. And listen, like I've driven my Jeep down into the infield at Stafford before, and that's fucking terrifying. I know the track is dead. There's nobody out there, but sitting at the entrance, where there's cars flying by you at 130, 140 miles an hour, it makes you put your head on a swivel. So I don't know what the fuck this guy was thinking.
Yeah.
But he's got a broken leg to show for it. That's our dart of the week, dumbass racing track worker. Dare, a dumbass racing employee. How about Darv, dumbass racing volunteer? Because there's no way that guy's getting paid, especially after that.
Probably had some Bruce Springsteen or something blaring in his
earbuds
headset. Yeah,
just screaming out in the middle of a live session. But yeah, that was real dumb. We also have a dumbass journalist of the week. It's the guy who runs Race Day CT up here in New England, Sean
Hangarani.
Sean Hangarani. It's a weekend of Sean's here. He's been going real shit posts lately. And this guy was a relatively respected journalist, and he's definitely well connected and does put good stories out. I've actually featured some of them on the show before. But past couple weeks, he's been a real dick on the internet. And he was one of the guys who was in favor of NASCAR suspending Bubba Wallace for a week. The exact quote was, "After what Bubba Wallace did to Alex Bowman following today's race in Chicago, I'd absolutely be in favor of NASCAR suspending Wallace for a week and sending a message that he can't continue pulling dangerous retaliatory measures on the track." Which, give me a fucking break. You announce at Stafford. You hang out at Stafford. Shit happens like... Anyway, so friend of the program and buddy of mine, Matthew Dillner, pops in with exactly what I was thinking, saying, "Dramatic much? Opinion, people like making a mountain out of a molehill. My goodness." Correct. Yeah. To which this dude replies, and this pissed me off, and if I was actually active on Twitter, I would have jumped in here, but the rest of the internet did the job for me. This dude says, "I fully understand that you would have this opinion, Matt, because you get paid as an announcer to cheer on, revel, and literally celebrate racers using race cars as weapons, so it makes sense that you've become numb to safety actually being a priority in the sport. Your sentence is a big fuck you, Race Day CT." He also went on about some tri-track shit and really took it to Brian Roby over an illegal engine, and I don't know. There's two ways to look at it, but I don't know. If you're a journalist that has to ask for crowdfunding to keep your website alive, which again, it's modern times. That's part of the deal. Don't be a fucking asshole. Yeah. And this guy's just being an asshole out here. And now for our DARF of the week. Was it dumbass racing journalist? That's what that guy is. But our DARF of the week, the traditional thing we're all used to. This comes from an NBC post about the Chicago race in Xfinity, particularly about the battle between Larson and Shane Van Gisbergen, which of course was fucking awesome. I don't think anybody thought that was shitty. Except for our buddy Braden _ATK on Instagram, who says, "It's just dive bomb after dive bomb. No battle happening." I don't really know how to process that. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck you want these guys to do. It's the only way you can race there. So, and I understand not liking street racing, that's one thing, but to say that wasn't a battle and a legitimate one at that is just as dumb as it gets. So, this guy's sentence is he's getting a little four-wheel ride up at Speedway 95 in Maine. You can come pick up tickets out here at the Applebee's in the curbside to-go window. I got them waiting right here for you, buddy. Fucking dumbass.
There's also that video of that late model crossing a hot track.
Oh, yeah.
Sprint cars running on it. That lady commentating that Brian loved.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, that lady was awesome. She was really pissed off. She was just so confused.
I mean, I'm sure she wasn't the only one, that's for sure. And I feel like we should mention this. Who was the other guy that we... that just posted something? He's been featured on the show before, but his name is escaping. Let me just look at the thread
Alex
here.
Webb.
Alex something.
Alex Wood. There you go.
Wood.
He has been the DARF of the week on the show before. He posted something about being blocked by Brett Griffin. Is that what happened?
Oh, someone else posted about being blocked by Brett.
That's right. And his response is, I'm just going to leave this here. Sure, some people in motorsports don't matter. Almost all short track managers, whatever the fuck that means. But Brett is one of the most respected people in NASCAR. To which I would reply, really?
Fake news.
Fake news. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Brett Griffin like a lot of people do necessarily, but that's a stupid thing to say.
But to call him one of the most respected people in NASCAR is
so if our dart for
bold.
Yes, it's very much a hot take. So yeah, for you, Alex, if our buddy doesn't show up to collect his voucher for the 4-wheeler ride, I've got him waiting for you. You are runner-up this week. So congratulations. So much dumb shit on the internet this week. That doesn't even include any of the folks commenting on RTJ or Bubba Wallace. So yeah, the internet was very active this week. It was tough to choose winners. We had 3 of them, for fuck's sake. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg. The heat is getting to everybody. That's my theory. You guys have any other ones that you saw out there that you want to shine a light on?
No, I think enough. They've had enough attention. Yeah. The internet was a cesspool this week.
It really was. Well, I guess speaking of cesspools...
Did Brian quit the show?
He did, I think. Well, speaking of cesspools and other forms of toiletry, I think it's time to climb into the short track septic tank. Brian admitted to me that he mutes the septic tank sometimes to go take a piss, so this is a good time, Andy, to get this
win early.
I think the big news of the week, there's no question, it's Ricky Thornton Jr. getting fired by SSI. Dude has won something like 18 plus races this year. He's leading
this year?
Yeah, this year alone. He's leading the Lucas Oil points by like 6,000 points. He's a shoe-in for the chase or whatever they call it over there. He's also leading the Flow Racing Night in America points. So that's 2 championships that he's well in charge of, and he just got fired and posted his phone number on Facebook looking for a ride.
So, unlike the Hudson O'Neal firing, which that had a very salacious rumor tied to it, there doesn't seem to be that same rumor tied to this, and really nobody seems to have a good answer as to what the reason why. I will say I did watch Uncle Kenny put out a nice video, a very entertaining video. If you haven't watched
that video was very chaotic.
It was great, but like I posted on our story a little clip of Kenny talking about
saying bad words.
Yeah, saying bad words. He's like, "This is a time you can say fuck," and in the meantime, his dog's walking around in the background. Kenny tried to say it was basically it had to be tied to money because he's like Kenny said he's won every fucking race. And how can you win every race and things aren't going the way you want them to? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
And it sounds like one of the big sponsors on SSI's car, Hooker, is going to be moving along with Ricky, from what I've heard anyway. And yeah, it's so fucking confusing. You really got to piss somebody off pretty good to get fired out of that ride. The prevailing theory is that Hudson O'Neal is actually going to go back to SSI and drive that car. So not a bad switch by any means, but when you got a guy who is winning as many races and is tuned in with the team as Ricky is, man, that's got to be some shit. Racing Jason on Twitter. Regardless of your feelings on whether or not you like that guy or not, he did post a funny video today. Apparently he knows what happened, but he's not going to say anything about it, so good on him. But he did want to clear up the fact that it wasn't Ricky's children fucking up the trailer and making a mess every weekend, and it wasn't a sex tape being leaked.
Okay, well.
It wasn't Ricky Thornton having sex on the internet, so that's... It wasn't those things. So Ricky did manage to find a ride for Lincoln last night in Flow Racing Night in America. The Shepherd family they stepped in and gave him a ride last minute. Didn't look so good at first, but he did manage to go from 20th to 7th in the feature. Bobby Pierce getting a big win there. It's always cool to see those two dudes out there because Bobby's kind of the other RTJ in a lot of people's minds. Even though he's had a little bit of a rough year, but he's starting to get back to his winning ways over in the 32. The smooth operator, Bobby Pierce, picking up a big win last night at Lincoln. He also got the big win at Deer Creek in the Gopher 50. Ryan Gustin getting a really, really tight win. It was like 9 thousandths of a second over Nick Hoffman on Friday afternoon. Of course, the show got delayed by rain, so they ran 2 preliminary night shows on one day. Good job by Gustin. really putting it down there and getting that win. Brandon Shepard won the later feature, and of course Bobby Pierce getting $50,000 richer for his work in the Go for 50. No real surprises there. Again, he's had a little bit of a rough year for his standards, but he seems to be finding it again. Over in the Lucas Oil World, Devin Moran just whooped everyone's asses at the Freedom 60. He led wire to wire. That's his home track, Muskegon County, and it was cool to see him pull that off. Tyler Erb, the cigarette smoking man, is picking up a lot of wins on the Hell Tour. He got his 8th one at Tri-State and gave one of the funniest interviews I've seen all year. Anytime you give Tyler Erb a microphone, it's kind of a liability. And this was no different. There was some guy flipping him off in the stands, and he made the majority of his Victory Lane interview about that guy. Saying, and I think the quote was, "Man, that guy really fucking hates me." But I'm a big Tyler Erb fan. Turbo is awesome, and it was cool to see him pick up that win. Over in the sprint world, Anthony Macri is your Speed Weeks champion in Pennsylvania. He won a lot, so good for him. The Smart Tour ran... Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over Robert Ballou being a dickhead for the entire weekend. He... which is pretty common, I guess. He was trying to call out... who was it? I can't remember anymore. Someone for being overweight and all that shit. And then he tried to kill Dason Pursley to make himself feel better. So that guy needs to take a ride in a four-wheeler as well. Over in the asphalt world, the Smart Tour Revolutionary 99 was the longest race in the history of Caraway, and it was about 2 hours and change. The choose cone got destroyed by a car. It was just anything that could delay the race, delayed it. I was really wanting to see Jimmy Blewett win that thing, but then Bobby Labonte did a very ambitious move onto the inside, pretty much down on the apron, and cleaned them out. I was pretty annoyed with them, but again, it's modified racing. Shit happens. But Bobby Labonte was on my shit list for a little bit, but hey, what are you going to do? You've been in the car for 2 hours. It's hot. You know, so good for Bobby picking up the win there. Over in the Cars Tour, this is probably the best short track race of the weekend. Brent Cruz gave Connor Hall the old bump and run and beat him and William Byron at the line at that race. That was fucking insane. Also, really glad to see that Corey Heim is alive after getting on his lid and riding the wall and getting stuck in his car upside down for about half an hour. So he definitely came out a different man. But yeah, Brent Cruz picking up the big win there and racing Connor Hall just the same way that Connor races everybody else. And a hell of a show there. I'm sure I'll find a video of that and we'll post it because you guys need to see that shit if you haven't seen it. We got a big weekend of short track racing coming up though. Lucas Oil is at 34 Raceway, Tri-City, Lucas Oil Speedway, and Eagle, as well as Shelby County, which it's a big weekend for them. Going back to the RTJ thing, no real word where he'll be racing. I imagine the Shepherd team, it sounds like they're going to let him have a car for as long as he needs it. That's not a permanent solution by any means, and I'm sure someone's going to pick up Ricky at some point. But I think that's what's going to happen this weekend. No word on who's going to be in the 20. Again, the prevailing theory is not Bobby Pierce. That would be a good pickup. Hudson O'Neal. The New Deal. Hudson O'Neal apparently is who everyone thinks is going to be in there. But that announcement has not been made, and those races start in like less than 48 hours. So they got to move quick if they're going to show up.
It sounds like RTJ has enough points where he can just sit at home and he'll be fine.
He might be able to do that, but I don't think he wants to. That's for sure. And of course, they have a chase system over there, a little more akin to what we were used to back in the mid-aughts in NASCAR. So he's got a little bit of wiggle room here, but that's gonna change very quickly, especially with how competitive that field is. High Limit's going to be in Portsmouth, which is going to be a good show. It always is. The World of Outlaws late models are at Bedford and Sharon. You going to go to that, Bram?
Maybe. We'll see.
Hell yeah. World of Outlaws sprints are probably going to bring some more rain with them, as they do. They're going to be at Beaver Dam, Wilmette for the Badger 40, and the Brad Doty Classic at Attica, which I know, Brian, you were saying you might go to, weather permitting.
Yeah, there's a much better chance I go to that than the late models, because I liked that race last year. But again, weather might be an issue next week, but we'll see. So,
but yeah, a lot of racing in your part of the country this weekend. So you gotta go. You gotta go. Just drive, buddy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like I said, I like the Doty race, and I guess I'm curious as to who's going to be there, because last year they had a pretty stacked field, and with the high limit stuff. Like, I can't imagine Larson will be back or Casey Kane, but I guess we'll see what happens, because I know, like you said, their World Outlaws are being a little more lax about their rules now because they are only getting all these locals showing up and fucking things up. So.
Well, I forget the date of when the sort of amnesty ends. It was only for like 10 days.
Oh, okay.
So you might not see anybody. Because especially since the King's Royal is coming up, so
Yeah.
you'll get to see David Gravel win. That's cool.
Just be Brad there waving.
Yeah. And then Corey Day, of course, is actually no, he's a high limit guy too. So no, you might not see anybody except for David Gravel and the Train Gang. So also the big asphalt race of the week, the Governor's Cup at Thunder Road. That's always a really cool race. That's gonna be on Thursday night in Flow Racing, and yeah. There's so much more going on. The Saturday schedule for Flow is absurd. The Dirt Vision schedule for this weekend is absurd. There's so much happening. Just watch something. Just do it. Or go. Just fucking go. Brian, just go.
I will probably be at something. Oh, also, before we finish up this segment, this is more just from the Cup stuff that we forgot to mention. So Harrison Burton got a little bit of controversy on Twitter today because apparently he liked a really goofy meme of again going back to political controversial things to like the Noah Gragson thing. He liked a meme of a plane flying into the Twin Towers, but the Twin Towers knocking the plane down and beating the shit out of the plane. So, like, I don't know how you can be mad at him for that. Like, you know, who cares? Yeah. Like, that's like a very benign, like, 9/11 joke's been happening for a long time.
It's not even September.
A very benign one.
It's
not even September.
It's not remembering season, so.
Harrison wasn't even a year old yet when September 11th happened, so.
Yeah.
What does he know?
Exactly.
But that's the short track septic tank. And we're going to go ahead and flush her down now. Whoosh. That was like a Bucky's urinal right there, all that high pressure. Fuck yeah.
So NASCAR is in Pocono this weekend, and this video of the week this week is from a race I was actually at. I was at both races in '95, both Cup races, I should say, and I found a YouTube channel that. From what I gather, this was a family that had a special needs child that had pit access, and for a handful of years went and filmed their exploits in the pits, meeting drivers and stuff. And I found there's a few of them on this channel if you go and look, but I picked the one from the race I was at, which was the June '95 race. And
such a cool video.
It's a cool video. Now there's not as much like. Yeah, this is definitely not the O tape video.
No, there's no commentating in this.
And there's no stop motion either, so that's a net positive.
No stop motion, but at the same time, there's a lot of good shots and some interesting stuff. So basically, follow this family, and from my tiny bit of research, most of this filming happened on Saturday, which I was only there Sunday. Like I didn't. My aunt and uncle and I drove up Saturday night, and we stayed the night, so I was not there for Saturday. But it must have been a rainy day this day because you can see water everywhere and tarps on cars and stuff like that. You know, I don't remember what the hell happened with qualifying that day, but this family gets a lot of really cool moments with a lot of different drivers, which is very neat and cute to see. It starts off with a shot of this kid, and the kid's name is John. That's the one thing I did figure from all this. I'm not sure exactly what ailment he has, maybe MS or something. He has some sort of, you can tell it's affects his muscles and things like that. His kid's in a wheelchair, he can't really talk much, but really you see this family go through the pits and they meet a lot of different drivers and crew guys. He starts off with, they're in the stall for the 25 team, and the 94 car is parked next to him, and going back to the Thunderbat
Batman car.
The Batman car, yes. Yeah. So I will say I remember eating the night before we went to McDonald's next to our hotel, and there was a special McDonald's burger package for this promotion, and it had it was almost like a sub that had 3 patties on it. I remember eating that this weekend. One little memory.
Hell yeah!
And from all the merch and shit.
Hell of a childhood memory to hang on to.
An Arch Deluxe.
No, this is before the Arch Deluxe days. This was a special Batman meal. But as fat little kid loved McDonald's, I was all about the extra patties. I remember the merch and stuff in this car so much more than the actual car itself. And seeing the car up close again, I think the one thing that stood out to me was the bat along the rocker panels where the the jack would go. I thought that was really, really cool. Like I haven't seen that car, the actual car itself, in many, many years. So that was really neat. From there, they go over to the 28 car stall, and somebody from the Yates team comes over and invites them in, and you see a shot of they're looking at the car, but you can see Robert and Dale Jarrett and Larry Mack and somebody else from the team having a little powwow while the kids waiting to meet them. And
so damn cool.
They go over to meet him, and you can see Dale and Robert like listen intently and trying to talk to this kid, and very, very friendly. They end up giving him a hat, which we'll get to later on. From there, they look at Rusty Wallace's car, who, at that point in the day, the car is like totally torn apart, hood's up, no wheels on the thing. From there, they go over and see Kyle Petty, who I heard Kyle ask the kid, "Who'd you let write all over your hat?" Which I thought was very cute. And Kyle, I mean, we all know Kyle's history with children and foundation after
the way that's worded.
Sorry, that was worded weird. Yeah. Excuse me. But we know what's the name of the charity that they founded after Adam died? I forget the
Speedway Children's Charity.
Yes. Yeah. Like we know that the Petty family has a lot of involvement with helping children and sick kids and things like that. So to see this moment, it's very cute and nice and wholesome. From there, I mean, there's a lot of shots of the haulers and stuff, and just different cars and things like that. They go over to Earnhardt's stall, and we don't see Dale at all, but Richard's there, and Richard goes up and he tells him, "We got to get you an Earnhardt hat," because I think at this point he still had the Yates hat in his hand, and he's like, "I'll be right back." And eventually, you see him with an Earnhardt hat. We see him go over and check out Mark Martin and Sterling Marlin's cars. There's a shot of Bill Broderick standing in front of Dick Trickle's 15 car. There's the 42 car, Robert Presley's 33. They're standing and getting photos in front of the 28 hauler, which, for those who don't remember, this was the one year that Dale Jarrett drove that car, and they kept Ernie's name on the hauler because they always planned to have Ernie back in that car, which, as a huge 28 fan that I was this period, like I love seeing that, obviously. Yeah. They eventually meet the King, get a little photo with him. They go over to the 6 trailer and meet Jack Roush, and they're talking with him for a while. There's a lot of spy shots of people that they didn't necessarily maybe get to have moments with. There was a shot, you could see Junie Donlevy in the distance, and then the kids wearing a Holly Myers hat. I think every single team that this kid went and met, they gave him a hat, it seemed like.
This kid left with a lot of hats.
Every other shot you can see him with a different hat. And
he was hanging on to him. He had a pile.
Oh, yeah. Well, from here, he goes over to Chuck Bown, who I don't know what the hell team Chuck Bown was driving for, but Chuck goes to him, "I'd give you one myself, but I don't even have one." Which I thought that was funny.
Tight budget.
See Ned Jarrett and Ricky Craven floating around. There's a shot of Bill Elliott signing some autographs, and he seems a little bit confused. I don't know what was going on there. There's shots of... They check out Jeff Gordon's car quite a bit. You see Terry Labonte, who ended up winning that day. And again, the garage is very wet. They qualified, though, because Ken Schrader was on the pole. I mean, Kenny was definitely not leading the points at this point, so it's not like they, didn't get to qualify that weekend. There's a very, what I felt was a funny shot of Todd Bodine kind of standing by himself in his pit stall, and then all of a sudden you see his car roll in with somebody else driving it. I don't know why I thought that was so funny, but it did. There's a shot of Barry Dodson there signing some autographs.
Yeah, one of my favorite paint schemes of all time was that Factory Stores of America car. I love that fucking thing.
There was so many beautiful cars this era, but that was definitely a good one. But at the same time, it also had, because it was sponsored by Factory Stores, it had a million different little logos on it too, which you looked up close, it got a little bit busy, but from afar it looked cool. They catch who I believe is Felix Sabatis just walking through the infield with a briefcase.
I was wondering who that was with the briefcase.
That's what I'm guessing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That was my thought. And then they're parked like kind of behind the garage, and I'm assuming they're parked next to where the team or the drivers' haulers are, because they do a shot of all these big buses, and most of the buses have these huge satellite dishes on top of them, which again, 95, that's just how things were back then. The internet did not yet exist. I'm trying to remember. So, I mean, we've all had pit access at different times, and I'm trying to think back, because I was never in the pits until probably 20 years after this.
Yeah.
Was wearing pants a requirement back then? Because this is June, and every single person in the garage is wearing pants, like all the fans and stuff too. Which,
there definitely used to be rules about you had to wear pants, it had to be closed shoes, like stuff like that.
Still that way at most racetracks.
Yeah, not in NASCAR anymore.
Yeah, not yet. I've never gotten shit for wearing shorts, and the only restrictions I've had, or I've noticed the last couple times I've been in the pits, where you can't bring alcohol in there, which obviously is fine. But, that's the one thing
makes sense.
Yeah, the pants thing is definitely a short track staple to this day, and I've sweated my ass off many a time.
That can't be true, because I have not worn pants at any of the races I've been in the pits.
Well, maybe in the infield anyway. At Stafford, you have to do that. You can wear shorts in the pits, but or in the garage area, that is. But when you're down in the center, you got to wear closed-toed shoes and all that. But yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that about NASCAR though, but I guess it makes sense with the amount of people they let down there.
Yeah, I don't know when they changed it, but I think eventually they just got tired of policing it. So
yeah,
because driver wives definitely aren't wearing pants and closed
Monster
shoes.
girls and all that shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. From there, we see shots of Bobby Allison and Junior Johnson signing autographs, and then Dick Trickle. He's in there smiling and having a good time. So always nice to see some Dick in the pits. Yep. And from here they go to the video switches to Sunday, and once again they have great pit access. They don't get any access to Dale Earnhardt, although they definitely are in the waiting area where the drivers are getting announced, and there's some spy shots of Dale. You can see him talking to Stevie Waltrip at one point. They're spying on Jeff and Brooke. Jeff's infamous first wife, Brooke, the ex-Winston girl, who they later show in the pits looking bored by herself while the race is happening.
Doesn't bode well for the future.
They end up going out on pit row and walking through all the cars, which is really cool. Let's see what else. And the race starts, and they are in the pits the whole time, which is fucking wild to me because, again, I've had pit access, and I've been in the pits during an active cup race, and I have never gotten as close as some of these people are, because there are people, like just fans, on the pit wall taking photos during the race, and like standing on and the inside guardrail in turn one, and that is wild to see because that does not happen at all anymore.
It's because they have pants on, buddy.
It's just a real interesting look back because again, like I never had any of this access when I was a kid, and you didn't really see much footage like this from a fan's perspective until now when we see this stuff pop up on the internet. So I just thought that was really interesting. I mean, you look back at what the pits were like then, and this was the era when they only just had the small little pit box, and most of the teams don't even have umbrellas and stuff. So it's just real classic NASCAR pits. And as far as when the race actually starts, Dale Jarrett wrecked out of this one early, and they end up going over to check out his car while they're working on it during the race. You see a shot of the young kid John definitely has a little brother who's completely, I don't say normal, but I mean he's completely healthy, and during this race there's a shot of the kid like sleeping in the van, like he does not care at all. I do remember this day being very hot because we actually didn't even stay for the whole race. Also partially because I think my aunt and uncle were fighting, and I remember us almost getting in a bad car accident on the way back. My uncle decided to, I'm sure he was half drunk, decided to pass a car going into a blind turn, like over a double yellow, and almost hit an oncoming car. So that was fun to have to deal with at 11 years old.
Sounds like your aunt had reason to argue with your uncle.
Well, let's just say I don't talk to these people anymore for many reasons. But they were my racing connection when I was a little kid, so I have to give them credit for that. But yeah, while they're in the pits, there is a couple really close-up shots of future pit stops from Gordon and Rusty Wallace. The first Rusty pit, you see one of the tire carriers completely eat shit, switching over from one side of the front of the car to the other, which I thought that was pretty funny.
It was great that he caught that.
Yep. As mentioned, there is a shot of Brooke just looking very bored in Jeff's pits. And like I said, there's all these amateur photographers just on the pit wall, just taking photos of the pits, and nobody's wearing fire suits or anything. Like, this does not happen anymore. Like, I will say, the last time, like last year at Darlington was the last time I had a pit pass during the race, and you know, why sit in Darlington? We sit right at the exit of turn 4, and there's a there's a tunnel right there. So during that race, a couple times I'd switch back and forth, and I would go and get in the pits, and even then, I was not getting anywhere near the pit wall. Like, no fans were anywhere near any of that stuff. So to see this is crazy.
I will say at Bristol, the couple times I've been down there, towards the end of the race, once like certain teams start wrecking out and they clear their pit box, the officials get pretty laid back and will let you go stand in that empty pit box as long as you're not
I did
impeding.
do that. Yeah. So yeah, that is true.
But yeah, nothing like in this video.
No, nothing at all. So yeah, we see a few more pit stops. I will say there was they're in Dale Earnhardt's pit stall for a second, and you see Chocolate Myers. And granted, this is almost 30 years ago. There's he looks almost thin until he turns around. Like there's a shot
the shot of him from the back. I was like, damn, Chocolate looks. He's been working out.
But then when he turns around, it's like, oh yeah, that's Chocolate.
That's Chocolate. Yeah.
But really, the last thing you see in this video is a very slow Bobby Labonte pit stop, and then the video ends. But again, not as many really ridiculous or crazy tidbits in this video, but just a very cool, interesting. For those of us who've been fans for as long as we have. Like, seeing this footage is always cool, and I just thought it was wholesome to see the drivers take time out and talk to this kid, and it's just neat to see. So
yeah,
what are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, you pretty much just summed it up. And again, like, this is the era of NASCAR where I became obsessed with the sport, and seeing it from this angle is always cool. And this is such a great example of that sort of fan cam footage that I think we all really like to see. So this is a particularly good one. I look forward to going to this channel and watching the rest of them, because this is some cool shit.
Yeah.
Well, who did the Olive Garden sponsor? I can't remember. Was that Dave Marcus?
Dave Marcus.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So even to this day, drivers still, I notice in the garage a lot, special needs kids get like really cool access, which is great. Joey Logano's really good about it. Like, I think every race he has someone there. But in this video, it definitely felt to me like the dad was the one benefiting from this the most. He was eating it up. Like, he was the one with the camera the whole time. Mom was in charge of dealing with the kids and like wrangling their hats and autographs and pictures with drivers, and dad's like with the camera and not paying any attention to the kids. He's like, oh, look at this car, oh, look at this car. He was just all up in their business. Like, having that level of access of just some random dude walking around with his home video recorder, like in the garage, like with the cars while they're working on them. Like, they definitely don't give that access these days. Like, you can't go in the garage.
No.
So just to have some random dude walking around with his camcorder.
Well,
stack of hats.
I remember getting to go in the garage a little bit at Darlington last year, but I think I got shooed away at one point. Mm-hmm. But again, this was Saturday.
Was your shopping cart full of die casts in the way?
No. Although we didn't see any of that either. I was actually a little surprised. I thought there'd be even back then. I figured there'd be a few people, autograph hunters like that, but we didn't see any of those people back then.
Yeah.
Granted, the die cast boxes were a lot bigger, and it was a whole. So,
yeah.
Different times.
Yeah.
The only thing I
cool
wish
video.
is that there was commentating. I wish the dad was talking.
That would have added a little bit to it, but still.
Yeah, because it was just like blaringly loud cars from like 3 feet away the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was one quick shot, I don't know if y'all saw it, of next to Kyle Petty's 42 car, there was a lady standing like a foot away from it, and she had her camera out, and she had on a homemade Kyle Petty shirt that she was wearing. It was like a bedazzled 42 with like puff paint.
I missed that. That's awesome.
It was a real quick shot.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Well, yeah. So, like I said, go to that video or go to that channel and check out. There's a bunch more videos, at least 4 or 5 from different years. So, it's good to see they got to go back and have a good time every year. I'm assuming they probably lived fairly close.
Yeah.
But the videos of the week next for this coming week. So,
do I need to sit down for this?
you might have to.
He's already threatened us and warned us. So,
we talk a lot of shit about Corey LaJoy on this show, and I decided to go and look and see if I could find any interesting Corey LaJoy video that would either be more damning or maybe more redeeming. Maybe give us a reason to maybe not speak so harshly about him. I didn't find much.
There's literally nothing on the face of this planet that can make me speak redeeming words about that man.
Yes, I know. But so I will say I did find
on all levels.
I found a couple videos. I found a video of Kyle Busch talking about how Corey was a pain in the dick to race against, and then I found Corey's response to that, where he's like, "Well, that means I'm hard to pass." He took it as a good thing, and then apparently,
of course he did.
I don't know when this happened, but apparently Corey being a dick helped Kyle Busch win a race. Again, I don't know exactly which race he's talking about, but for Corey to take it that way, I mean, that shows Corey's intelligence.
Maybe Corey can help out Kyle a little bit this year at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Strange bedfellows.
So the video I did find that we're gonna watch is one that the handful of people who are wrestling fans that I know listen to this show will at least perk up a little bit at. I found a video of Corey LaJoy
God cut his mic off. Corey LaJoy taking what?
Well, I guess that means we don't have to watch it.
Yeah, Corey LaJoy taking Adderall, Corey LaJoy taking your shit. Oh.
Well,
you know, God works in mysterious ways, folks.
He does. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Usually you start the meal off here with the prayer, but we're going to finish it, I suppose, with a moment of thanks. Yeah, Brian's just gone. So, yeah, we'll watch a Corey LaJoy video next week. How about that?
Man, Brian really does hate us, doesn't he?
Yeah, at least it's not stop motion.
Well,
could be worse.
He threatened us with that, too, so.
He did. Well, his cat was screaming in the background, too, so I imagine that has something to do with it.
Maybe she pulled the mic.
She did. But yeah, I'm not going to the racetrack this week. I got enough coming up the following week. I think I'm going to be at Stafford on Wednesday. I'm not really 100% sure yet, but Ryan Newman is racing the big Modified Masters show down there, so that'll be fun to watch, and there's going to be a bunch of cars there, which will be cool. And I want to say NASCAR Modifieds are happening. And Brian's back, so we can go back to Corey LaJoy now.
Damn it.
Yeah. Sorry, my router's being a real asshole tonight.
A video of Corey LaJoy taking what?
Corey LaJoy taking famous WWE New Japan TNA wrestler AJ Styles out for a ride-along.
Okay.
So, for those who don't know AJ Styles, he's very famous Southern wrestler. Very good wrestler. I once went as him for Halloween because I look kind of like him. Long hair, beard, white guy, very easy costume. And he may or may not have dropped slurs quite a bit back in the day, in the 2000s when you could do that. But maybe they have something to talk about.
Bedfellows with LaJoy.
Yeah.
Got him suspended.
So that's video number 1.
I just Googled this guy. What a fucking turd.
He is a great wrestler. I'll say that. But otherwise, I don't know. So the other video, NASCAR is next week going to be at the Brickyard. And
yes,
it's a 30th anniversary of the inaugural Brickyard 400. And while I actually found quite a few fan cam shots from that race. None were that interesting. Maybe I'll throw one on next week anyways, but what I did find in just searching for indie videos is, and the reason why I'm picking this is because Austin Cindric has been physically compared to this guy. I don't know shit about him, but I found a video of famous children's entertainer Blippi explaining Indy cars to kids.
Very cool.
So I'm really punishing you guys this week. We've had a few cool videos the last few weeks. So this is what we're going to watch this week. Is Corey LaJoy and Blippi. So
perfect.
Wow. Well, there goes our entire listener base.
You're so excited.
We appreciate y'all listening the past year and a half.
Yeah, we'll warn you when this happens next week. We'll give you a good 15-second heads up before the segment starts.
So, yeah, that'll be the videos of the week next week.
Speaking of videos, which I have not watched this yet, but it just came on my screen after I threw up this week's video of the week to watch along as we talked about it. There's a new Brock Beard video about Country Time Lemonade's involvement.
I watched that. It's very good.
It looks very
fun.
good. Brock always does great work. We've shouted him out on this show a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. And I expect this to be no different, and I'm not surprised to hear you offer the positive feedback. So give that a watch.
He might be a guy we'll have to get on the show at some point, because he's bought stuff from me plenty of times, and I could get him on the show pretty easily.
Never hurts to ask. Yeah, Brock fucking rules, and I'm a big fan of his work, and I think we all are. And if you're a newer fan, or not at all, if you've watched NASCAR your whole life and you know everything about it, you probably learned something from one of his videos. Dude's a great documentarian. And
you learn more than you would watching Blippi.
Oh my God.
Well, so I already mentioned I might be doing some racing stuff this weekend. What are you guys doing? Any racing things this weekend or what?
No, it's too hot.
Yeah, not this weekend. Next week there's a couple things I might end up doing, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Again, we might actually have to delay the show a little bit because of this, but I might be at Stafford on Wednesday night. In fact, I probably might go even if I'm not there on official business, but very cool race happening there, the Modified Masters Open, and Ryan Newman has announced that he's racing. I think there's going to be a pretty decent car count at this thing, and Stafford always puts on a hell of a show. And I think Monadnock is Saturday weekend, this coming weekend on Saturday. I can't remember. But NASCAR mods up there is always fun, and it's a very beautiful drive. I've said that on the show like 3,000 times. But if that is, in fact, this weekend, I think I'll be there as well. Or the following weekend, excuse me.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing this weekend. It's too fucking hot.
Yeah, definitely hot. Well, I guess with that, as always, you can follow us on follow us on Instagram, Meet Me at Applebee's, and on Twitter at Meet Me at DeBees. I am Speedway Screens on all the things, and speedwaytsj.etsy.com is the store. Meemaw, what do you want to plug?
If anyone wants to watch the Blippi video and send me the Cliff Notes, I will Venmo you $10.
Wow.
Seg Mountain True Love.
Shrimp Mountain tummy ache. Yeah, I might have to. I'll jump in on that too. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You motherfuckers.
Rob Motes _unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains. I don't post anything on the internet, so you won't find anything there. But like I said, if I'm out at the racetrack next week, come say what's up.
Rob, don't you have some like nieces or nephews or something that probably have already watched the video that we could bring on the show?
None that I want to talk to. It's a conversation I'm not trying to have, but yeah, probably.
Okay.
And I think they're more bluey people up here than Blippi.
Mm.
Which I don't want to talk about that. Even the cat is upset about this. Well, I'm going to wave old Tanner down and get us the fuck out of here.
Let's leave. Brian's going to cover the check this week.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I guess I have
crimes.
For future crimes. I'm actually excited about the New Japan one. That sounds kind of interesting, but yeah. Holy fuck. All right. We'll see you next week, folks.